hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
Hello guys, and welcome to this totally gnarly radical Big Nerd Pub Quiz, or should I say Big Nerd 90s quiz. Yes, tonight we're doing the same general knowledge quiz like we always do this time, but except we're going back this time to the 1990s, the era of grunge and Britpop, boy bands and hip-hop, the movies of Jurassic Park, Jumanji, Home Alone and The Matrix, the fall of the Iron Curtain, and the rise of the World Wide Web. We're going to a nostalgic trip of that not-so-distant past of the 90s. Big thanks to Diane Lemon, who sent me in the suggestion. I was sitting down to write the quiz last night, and she says, do a 90s one, so I thought, why the hell not? So thank you so much for that. Massive hello to everyone out there. Welcome if this is your very first time, and thank you to all of those who've been playing over the last few weeks. If you're familiar with how to play, then get ready. If not, here's how you play the Big Nerd 90s quiz. Alright, really simple. So, welcome to the Big Nerd 90s quiz. You can play along two ways, using good old-fashioned pen or paper, or use the Google form in the link in the YouTube description below. You can play as a team, or you can play individually. It's totally up to you. Open up the Google link and enter your email address, and just answer the multiple choice questions as they are asked by myself. There are 8 rounds with 6 questions each. There's only one correct answer per question. Once the quiz is finished, just simply hit submit and you'll get your scores at the very end. But do stick about. I'm going to be reading out the answers at the very end of the quiz so you can see how you got on, where you went right and where you went wrong. It's recommended that you stream the quiz on Google Forms. Basically, you stream the quiz on Google Forms or Google... Stream the quiz on a laptop or another device and use the Google form on your phone or an iPad or something like that. Good luck and have some fun out there. It's going to be a really cool quiz tonight. I've absolutely loved writing this. So here we go. Here's what's up to win. Courtesy of Northern Ireland Tees, we've got a very snazzy t-shirt referencing a very famous 90s sitcom. That's the Father Ted one. Use the promo code BIGQUIZ for 10% discount. And also up for grabs, win a trial pack of Enerzade, the classic sparkling glucose drink. It's a totally nostalgic drink that brings up back the old flavours. It's a local Northern Ireland company. And just actually to get this out of the way, to announce the winner of the last Saturday's Big Nerd Pub Quiz, it's Hannah Berry. Hannah Berry, get in touch with us and we'll get those prizes out to you. Don't forget to share your picks on all the social media channels. Use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz. I love seeing all your photographs of you guys playing out there. And as always, there is the Big Nerd Kids quiz every Tuesday. I know I've been getting some really great feedback on that from everyone. Basically, it's an hour-long quiz just for kids. And if you've got little ones of your own, if you're looking after ones, yeah, by all means, let them know. It's vaguely educational. And don't forget to like and subscribe the YouTube channel. Hit the bell button so you can get notifications of when we're online. And you can play all the quizzes that we've done before. There's like at least about 15 other quizzes that I've been doing over the last month. And you can play these at any time. So yes, by all means, go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/BigNerdPubQuiz. A couple of more wee things to get out of the way before we kick off the 90s quiz. Tonight, we've got the Star Wars quiz coming up Monday, May the 4th. That's Star Wars Day. Thanks to Mark Harrison, who's helping me write that one. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We've got so many really, really cool questions. I've already started writing it, and I'm absolutely loving it. Also, big shout out to Steph, who's helping me write the Harry Potter quiz. I know so many of you guys out there have been dying to hear this one. It's on Monday, May the 11th, 2020. And you can be the coolest kid in the playground with a Big Nerd Pub Quiz t-shirt or hoodies or tote bags. You can go to Northern Iron Tees and buy official Big Nerd Pub Quiz swag from there. And if you like what I'm doing, Big Nerd Pub Quiz will always be free to play. So if you can support me in what I'm doing, if you like my quiz and if you like the effort I'm putting in, by all means, if everyone chips in as little as £1, or you can support me on the Patreon, that would be really much appreciated. Big thank you to all my supporters out there and all the people who've been playing. All your feedback has been absolutely amazing. And don't forget, from next week, I'm going to be on zestfm.co.uk playing out some classic 80s hits. Zest FM is a brand new 80s radio station on digital, so do check that out. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to start tonight's Big Nerd 90s quiz. As you might have noticed, I am wearing authentic 90s clobber. This is an old Gap t-shirt from God knows when. I think I got it in a second-hand shop years and years ago when I was a teenager, and my Smashing Pumpkins t-shirt, which is very, very worn. It's been sitting in a cupboard there. There's a lot of moth holes in it, but anyway, here we go. Our first question of the Big Nerd 90s quiz here on Wednesday night, and it is general knowledge. Okay, so the next 6 questions tonight are all general knowledge questions about the 90s. So, without further ado, let's kick off. Okay, I know this one's a little bit of a curveball, because it doesn't require really any knowledge unless you look it up, which I'm not encouraging, by the way. But anyway, round 1, question 1 of the Big Nerd 90s quiz. What day of the week did the 1990s start on? I know, that's a bit of a random one, but yes. What day of the week did the 1990s start on? Okay, it might actually not be that hard to work out. I'm not saying you obviously count the days back, but have a stab at it. Kind of obvious. So, what day of the week did the 1990s start on? Round 1, question 2. So, Dolly was the first ever animal cloned in 1997, but what species of animal was Dolly? You see all the options there in front of you on your Google Sheet. But yes, round 1, question 2. Dolly was the first ever animal ever cloned in 1997, I believe it was. So what species of animal was Dolly? Round 1, question 3. Which popular beer commercial featured the phrase "What's up"? Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I promise I won't do that again. Okay, so but which popular beer commercial featured the phrase "What's up"? And we're not talking about the app. This is way before smartphones. As you can see, that guy has something called a telephone, which is connected to a wire. And yes, if someone was using the internet in his house and he picked it up, then the internet would turn off. So yeah, that's what it was like in the day, kids. But yes, the popular beer commercial featured the phrase "What's up?" Okay, I said I wouldn't do that again. So round 1, question 4. Which famous engineering structure opened in May 1994, becoming the longest of its kind in the world at the time? And I do believe that was true at the time. But which famous engineering structure opened in May 1994, becoming the longest of its kind in the world? Big shout out to Tom and Sarah, because we traveled on it. All right, that's enough of a clue you guys are going to get. But yes, famous engineering structure. They actually met. It finished the first phase in 92 and actually opened in 94. Staggered opening. But yes, here we go. Next question, round 1, question 5. You can see I figured out how to use GIFs. So how many times did Ireland win the Eurovision Song Contest in the 1990s? Give you a clue, it was a lot. To the point we were holding it every other year. But round 1, question 5. How many times did Ireland win the Eurovision Song Contest in the 90s? Not overall, but in the 90s. That's between 1990 and 1999. Probably wondering why Riverdance is there, but they were the halftime show at the 1994 Eurovision Song Contest. So that's where Riverdance started. It stole the show. And I kind of bookend this general knowledge question of round of the first round. I think, what day of the week did the 1990s end on? There's Prince there singing about it. Wrote the song in 1982, and I think he had this massive party to celebrate it in 1999. So December 31st, 1999. What day was that? I don't really remember. I was too young to go out. But anyway, there's your round one roundup for the Big Nerd 90s quiz. So what day of the week did the 1990s start on? Dolly, the first ever animal cloned in 97. What species of animal was Dolly? Number 3, what popular beer commercial featured the phrase, "What's up?" Number 4, what was the longest famous engineering structure opened in 1994? Number 5, how many times did Ireland win the Eurovision Song Contest in the 90s? Not overall, I'm looking just in the 90s. I have to clarify that. And number 6, what day of the week did the 1990s end on? I know those are really cheeky. I promise it will get easier. It's one of those things that I thought I'd throw some curveballs in there at the start, but rest assured, you're in for some really, really cool rounds coming up. We've got, obviously, we've got the history round, we've got the sports round, and we've got 2 secret special rounds coming up. Okay, so anyway, our next one tonight is television. A lot of classic 90s TV, which is still watched and streamed all around the world. So yeah, your next 6 questions are about 1990s TV. Don't forget, if you want to shout out at any point, do DM me on the Facebook. It's better the Facebook. I seem to get that one earlier. But yes, do follow me on all the social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I'll try to get the shout-outs done throughout the show. I'm sorry if I don't get to give you a shout-out at some point, but yeah, I'll try my very best. Okay, so here we go. Round 2, your first television question tonight. So round 2, question 1. What was the highest viewed TV show finale in the 1990s in America? Okay, so round 2, question 1. What was the highest viewed TV show finale in the 1990s in America? Now, traditionally, the highest viewed show of all time in the States is always the Super Bowl, year in, year out, and the occasional very special event. But in terms of TV shows, this one, including all the other ones in that list, are record breakers. But which one was the highest one of all time in the 1990s? Okay. So that's round 1, question 1. Round 2, question 2. Big shout out to Amy. I know she wants a Father Ted quiz, but here, I've got a Father Ted question in for you. Round 2, question 2. What year did the Irish sitcom Father Ted debut on Channel 4? So, what year did the Irish sitcom Father Ted debut on Channel 4? It's a bit of a misnomer that the producers went to RTE first. No, they never did. They filmed the series in London. They pitched it to Channel 4 first. And yes, the entire show, all the exteriors and all the cast, 90% of the cast were all Irish. But the show itself was always a British show, technically a British show, but in theory it was Irish. But anyway. But what year did Father Ted debut on Channel 4? Okay, round 2, question 3. What crime was Deirdre Rashid sent to prison for in 1997? I've given you 4 options there. I remember this was huge news. Like, I remember coming out and people had written it on the sidewalk, and people had written it on banners. And before the internet, this was such a thing. I think it was on the front page. Free Deirdre Rashid, or Deirdre Barlow in Coronation Street. It was all over the tabloids, as if it was real news. But what crime was Deirdre Rashid sent to prison for in 1997? A couple of options there. Always take a guess if you don't know. Round 2, question 4. I know loads of you are going to love this one. But what high school did Buffy the Vampire Slayer attend to in the TV series of the same name? So round 2, question 4. What high school did Buffy the Vampire Slayer attend in the TV series? I have to say, I absolutely loved Sarah Michelle Gellar. So in love with her. Anyway, enough about that. Round 2, question 5. What TV station was launched in Ireland in 1998? So this is way... Okay, terrestrial television, there was only X amount of channels. In Ireland, there was RTE1 and RTE2. Then a new one came along. And one before that, I think. But anyway, what TV station was launched in Ireland in 1998? Actually showed Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's how I probably kind of wrote that one, because I remember watching Buffy before it came out in the UK. I actually watched it on Irish television. But yes, round 2, question 5. What TV station was launched in Ireland in 1998? And your final TV one, and I know so many people out there are going to go, oh god, I remember that. But round 2, question 6. Who presented the kids' TV game show Funhouse? Round 2, question 6. Who presented the TV game show for kids Funhouse? I think it was on CITV. And there was a round which involved go-karts, which I thought was excruciatingly slow. It could have been a little bit faster. There should have been a little bit more, an element of danger in that. But yes, round 2, question 6. Funhouse. Who presented it? So there's your round 2 roundup for your TV ones. So what was the highest TV viewed finale in 1990s America? What year did the Irish sitcom Father Ted debut on Channel 4? What crime was Deidre Rashid sent to prison for in 1997? What high school did Buffy the Vampire Slayer attend to in the TV series? What television station was launched in Ireland in 1998? And who presented the TV game show Funhouse? Alright, so that's your first 2 rounds over. Yeah, I know some of the guys out there in the UK, my London Massive, are probably scratching their heads wondering, we don't know about Irish TV. But anyway, so a couple of shoutouts. We'll get some shoutouts out there before we move on to the next round. Mamta, Milan, Charik and Karishna in Manchester, Purvi, Himal, Arjun and Dhruv in London. Big hello to you guys. Paddy O'Dwine's listening tonight with Jack and Daniel, not just the alcohol itself, but Jack and Daniel. Big hello to you. Hold tight, my London Massive, Phil, Hannah, Theo, Ollie, George, Sarah, Tom, Paul, Lloyd, Becca, Rory, Juliet, Steph, Greg, Haley and Dave are all watching all around the country. And finally, Ry Komisky is in Manchester and he sent me a photograph wearing his Reptar t-shirt. So big, massive reference there to the Nickelodeon series Rugrats. So anyway, here's your next round tonight. And we go from TV to movies. Okay, so the next 6 questions all relate to movies in the 90s. Pretty self-explanatory. So here we go. Round 3, question 1. So this is a bit more of a thematic one. But what links Morgan Freeman, Bill Pullman, Michael Douglas, and Anthony Hopkins? Okay, you're probably wondering what that is or what that could be, but if you look at your options in your answer sheet on the Google form, that should give you some hint. But yes, what links Morgan Freeman, Bill Pullman, Michael Douglas, and Anthony Hopkins, aside from the fact that they're all male actors? That's it. Anyway, so that's round 3, question 1. Zooming on to round 3, question 2. Which 1990s film won every major category in the Oscars, picking up Best Picture, Director, Actor, and Actress? This is a very, very rare feat. It's very rare that any film wins the board. Nothing, so you'll get a film that'll do well and pick up X amount of Oscars, but the big 4... technically big 5 actually, but there's a big 4 there. The Best Picture, Director, Actor, and Actress has only been done a couple of times, and only one movie did it in the 90s. So which film won every major category in the Oscars, picking up Best Picture, Director, Actor, and Actress on that night? Sticking with some more movies, round 3, question 3. Which film saw a huge rise in profits due to the fact it was showing the Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace trailer? I have to say, I actually went and saw the trailer, and I went to see the movie, and it was a happy accident that they were showing the trailer. And then I later found out that was a big thing. There was 2 movies that were attached to it. So one of the other movies was Meet Joe Black. I don't know if you remember that movie, but Meet Joe Black and one other movie had the trailer exclusively attached to it. And at the time, the Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace trailer was the most downloaded thing, and this was back in the day of dial-up. So yeah, which film saw a huge rise in profits due to the fact it was showing the Star Wars Episode 1 trailer? You can probably deduce it by the fact, work out which year it came out in, okay, and then try to work it out from there. Okay, round 3, question 4. A really nostalgic one, and I loved this soundtrack. Which 90s film featured artists on its soundtrack, including Radiohead, The Cardigans, and The Wannadies? So yes, round 3, question 4. Which 90s film featured artists on its soundtrack, including Radiohead, The Cardigans, and The Wannadies? I was thinking there today, actually, you don't get that anymore. You don't get that kind of big movie comes out and they have a song that goes with it and the movie is tied into the music video and stars involved with it. So you really don't get that anymore. And that used to be such a big thing in the 90s and the 80s as well. But yeah, especially in the 90s, it would be a big tie-in. But yes, the 90s movie which featured artists on the soundtrack including Radiohead, The Cardigans, and The Wannadies. And sticking with movie soundtracks, which film was the subject of Will Smith's first #1 hit in the UK as a solo artist? Will Smith, of course, attached to Jazzy Jeff in his early hip-hop career. The famously non-swearing actor who had really, really great hits with Summertime and all. But what was the film of the subject of Will Smith's first #1 hit in the UK as a solo artist? What's amazing is if you Google 90s, Will Smith comes up. He's just synonymous with that period. And round 3, question 6, big one this. What was the highest grossing film of the 1990s? Very simple. What was the highest grossing movie of the 1990s? There was some big heavyweights back then. But what was the highest grossing of them all? Okay, I think the record held for quite a long time. It might even adjusted internationally, still hold it. But round 3, question 6. What was the highest grossing film of the 1990s? So there's your movie roundup, your 90s movie roundup. So what links Morgan Freeman, Bill Pullman, Michael Douglas, and Anthony Hopkins? Number 2. Which 1990s movie picked up every best picture, director, actor, and actress at the Oscars? Number 3, which film saw a huge rise in profits due to the fact that it was showing Star Wars Episode 1? Number 4, which 90s movies featured artists on its soundtrack including Radiohead, The Cardigans, and The Wannadies? Which film was the subject of Will Smith's first #1 hit in the UK as a solo artist? And what was the highest grossing movie of the 90s? Alright, so that's your movie roundup. I hope you're all really enjoying the Big Nerd 90s quiz. Yeah, let me know what your favorite things about the 90s were. Like, I'm going to be showing you some of my 90s swag that I have here, that I've, been collecting dust in my room here in Vestrever. But yes, let me know what your favorite things were about the 90s. And do follow me on all the socials there. The YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're all there. Use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz. And don't forget to donate to the Patreon and to the PayPal. Every little bit helps. And I'll have to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been donating so far. So let's kick off with the next round here. And it is history. You couldn't do a 90s quiz without doing a bit of history. So a lot of really cool things happened in the 1990s. It was a massive change for society. The Iron Curtain came down. Certain countries which were there just didn't exist the next day. Huge seismic shifts. But yes, here's a big look at 90s history. Round 4, question 1. So here we go. On what day did the Soviet Union collapse in 1991? It's amazing to think. So there was a chain of events that started off with, the slump in the economy of the Soviet Union, obviously the Chernobyl disaster, which cost them billions to even just clear up, fall of the Berlin Wall, all the different revolutions in all the different countries, basically surmised up into the breakup of the Soviet Union. But what day did the red flag come down in Red Square in 1991? Round 4, question 2. So, sticking with the Iron Curtain and the Cold War, which of these countries ceased to exist by the end of the 1990s? So, just to read them out, if you're playing by paper and pen, the countries are Bulgaria, Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Hungary. Okay, so which of those countries ceased to exist by the end of the 1990s? Okay, so round 4, question 2. Moving on to round 4, question 3. A little bit more lighthearted. What was the name of President Bill Clinton's cat? Could have made a joke there, but I'm not going to. But anyway, but round 4, question 3. What was the name of President Bill Clinton's cat? Famously, every president of the United States has had a pet. Except Donald Trump. He's the first one to not own a pet. Wonder why. Strange that. Anyway, round 4, question 4. Which band provided the soundtrack to Tony Blair's 1997 election victory with Things Can Only Get Better? I think they were from Derry. And interesting fun fact, the guy who played the keyboards on that track was none other than Professor Brian Cox, the physicist. So yeah, but the band, I named the name of the band that provided the soundtrack to Tony Blair's 1997 election victory with Things Can Only Get Better. It's one of those songs you can't, they're inextricably linked. And interestingly, Bill Clinton's campaign song in 92 was Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow by Fleetwood Mac. But yes, round 4, question 4. I need the name of the band that provided the soundtrack to Tony Blair's Things Can Only Get Better. So round 4, question 5. Which year of the 1990s did Queen Elizabeth describe as her annus horribilis? She was making a speech, I think, to the London Guildhall, and it had been quite a tough year. A lot of bad things happened to her family. I think you could describe 2020 as an annus horribilis, but we'll get you through all that with the quiz and everything. But yes, round 4, question 5. Which year of the 1990s did Queen Elizabeth describe as her annus horribilis? And your final history question of Big Nerd 90s quiz. The Great Hanshin earthquake of 1995 occurred in Japan, but which city was closest to the epicenter? I actually travelled there a couple of months ago, and it has these giant double-deckered highways, and it caused them to collapse, just like, you know, like Lego. Part of the seafront, they've kept a portion of the pier that sank into the sea because of it. But yes, the Great Hanshin earthquake of 95, it occurred in Japan, but which city was most devastated by that quake itself? Okay, so there you go. That's your Big Nerd 90s quiz history round. So here we go. What day did the Soviet Union collapse in 1991? Which of these countries ceased to exist by the end of the 90s? Was it Czechoslovakia, Poland, Hungary, or Bulgaria? Number 3, what was the name of President Bill Clinton's cat? Number 4, the band that provided the song Things Can Only Get Better for Tony Blair in the 1997 New Labour election. Number 5, which year of the 90s could Queen Elizabeth describe as her annus horribilis? And number 6, the Great Hanshin earthquake of 1995 occurred in Japan, but which city was closest to the epicenter? That is your history round tonight of Big Nerd 90s quiz. This is round 4. We've just done round 4, and we're halfway. Just to do a couple of quick shout-outs, of course. Yes, I've mentioned the Patreon, all the little helps there. Thank you very much for donating to that. Couple of wee shout-outs for different podcasts out there. We've got the Stuck in Here With You podcast done by my friends Mary and Jez over in London. Hot Topic Nightmare, please do check that one out. It's really fun. My mate Lloyd is on this week talking to my buddy Paul about a random subject that he's had to prepare for. Banterflex movie reviews and Fright Club. Also do check out their Banterflex's podcast. They do their latest one is about the closing of the movie house cinema on the Dublin Road in Belfast, and that was such a place. I think the first movie I saw there as a kid was Batman Forever with what's his name as Batman? Val Kilmer as Batman. Ha! Yes, they're doing their fantastic blog and fantastic podcast. Do check them out. Up for grabs tonight is the Father Ted t-shirt, which has a bit of an air of social distancing to it. You can see this cow is small and this cow is socially distancing. You can buy that t-shirt using the promo code BigQuiz for a 10% discount. And of course, the night's winner will win another pack of Enerzaid. Use the code BigNerdQuiz for a 25% discount. And check out their website, enerzaid.co.uk. Also, if you want to buy some Big Nerd Pub Quiz merchandise, go to 90's directly. And you can buy them in any color, shape, or size. I actually saw somebody who had it in orange. And it's amazing. I absolutely love seeing people who've actually bought Big Nerd Pub Quiz t-shirts and they're sending to me. We have sold quite a few. Very, very surprising. But yes, that's it. Thanks very much. Here are a couple more shout-outs to get before we resume the quiz. Auntie Emma and the Macaroon Bar from Wexford. In Wexford, that's from Derek Hatchell in Meath. Hello to you guys who are playing tonight. Declan McKay is playing in Jersey and Mark McDade in Amsterdam. Also a shout-out to Edwin, who is from outside Amsterdam, who interviewed me for his student blog. So yes, that's going to be on a video format and you'll probably see me either subtitled or dubbed in Dutch. I think I'd love to hear what I sound like dubbed in Dutch. That'd be cool. But thanks for playing. Colin and Amy are watching in Warm Point. Colin actually released a single in support of mental health charities there recently. I'll send you a link to that. Actually, I'll put that up on the site. Chen, Carla, Ben, and Alex are playing in Leeds. So thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. I'll try to get some more shout-outs during the show, so do let me know. But the best way to get me is direct message me via the Facebook. So direct message me via Facebook. I'll try my best to get a shout-out. So anyway, I know you've got itchy fingers to move on to the next round, but here we go. The next one is sports. Yes, some monumental sports activities happened in the 90s. Some really titan teams and titan sports figures dominated the whole decade. So yes, here's your first sports question of the 1990s quiz. So round 5, question 1. Where was the first Olympics of the 1990s held? So, round 5, question 1. Where were the first Olympics of the 1990s held? Okay. Round 5, question 2. Decky, you should get this. You're a big Man United fan. So how many times did Manchester United win the Premier League and the FA Cup in the 1990s? So what I'm looking for here is not... I'm looking for how many times they did the double, okay? So apologies if I've kind of messed about with the phrasing of this, but I'm looking for how many times won the FA Cup and the Premier League in the same season, okay? And that's including the famous 99 treble season. So you already got 1, but they won the double a couple of other times too. But how many times did they win the double? Okay, so that's winning the FA Cup and Premier League in the same season. Okay, and I'm counting that as between 1990 and 1999, not the season 99 to 2000. Okay, just to clarify. Can't be too careful these days. You got a lot of people texting me going, wait a second. But anyway, so round 5, question 3. Who dominated the men's singles championship at Wimbledon, winning 6 times on the grass court? Again, another towering figure of sport. He was like the Nadal and the Federer of his time, and he was unstoppable. I just remember every time tuning into Wimbledon as a kid, and this guy was just winning. So who dominated the men's singles championship at the Wimbledon, winning 6 times on the grass court? Sure, you might remember it. Father Dougal named a rabbit after him. You know, tennis rabbits, that sort of thing. Anyway, round 5, question 4. So what baseball team did Michael Jordan sign for a short time in 1994? He was farmed out to a minor league team, the Birmingham Barons. Now, to explain this, a lot of the major league teams, there's no promotion or relegation in US sports. So a lot of major league baseball teams have minor league teams. And Michael Jordan actually wanted to be a baseball player before he became a basketballer. It's impossible to imagine that. Like, the guy was so good at what he did, but his first love was baseball because his dad wanted him to be a baseballer. And for a short time, he actually went to this particular team in 1994. And as opposed to actually playing for the major league team, they farmed him out to a minor league team. But a lot of these major league teams, like I said, own a minor league team. And I think he did play an exhibition game for the Major League team, but never an actual bout, or never an actual game itself. But yeah, hard to imagine that, isn't it? Michael Jordan, he signed for a short time in 94 before, so I need the name of the team he signed for, okay? And that's famously depicted in Space Jam. And the website is, if you look up the Space Jam website is still up there. Anyway, enough of my natter. Next question, round 5, question 5. So at which tournament did Tiger Woods win his first major in 1997? He was the youngest player to do so and the first non-white player to do so. Okay, so Tiger Woods exploded on the scene in 1997. What was his first major? Okay, scratching your heads for that. He won pretty much every one of them at one point, but what was his first? Okay, so that's round 5, question 5, and round 5, question 6. Who captained the France national team in their 1998 World Cup victory over Brazil? And that's probably the first World Cup I remember all the way through. I remember bits of 94, but 98 was really special for me, and I remember as a kid watching nearly every single game. The first game was played at the Stade de France, and it was Scotland versus Brazil. But who captained the France national team in their 1998 World Cup victory over Brazil? So many classic moments in that. You had Dennis Bergkamp's amazing goal against Argentina. You had Michael Owen's solo effort against Argentina as well. But yes, who captained the France national team in their 1998 World Cup victory over Brazil? Greg, Julia, and Steph, you guys should get that. Anyway, there's your round 5 roundup for your sports one. So where was the first Olympics of the 1990s held? How many times have Manchester United won the double, now the Premier League and the FA Cup in the 1990s? I needed to clarify that. So I'm looking for the double, not the amount of times they won each, because it was a lot, but I'm looking for how many times did they do the double? I should have clarified that. Who dominated the men's singles championship at Wimbledon, winning 6 times on the grass court? Which baseball team did Michael Jordan sign to for a short time in 94? What tournament did Tiger Woods win his first major in 97? And who captained the French national team in their 1998 World Cup victory over Brazil? I think the score was 3-1. Or was it 3-0? It was infamous because Ronaldo couldn't play. Oh, he couldn't play, and then he shouldn't have played. He had a fit the night before, and then they announced him on the team sheet, and there's a rumour going about that. There was a rumour at the time that was Nike that made it happen. Anyway, long story short, fired on with the Big Nerd 90s quiz here. Next round tonight is music. Sure, what would in the 1990s be without the music? So all I'm looking for in the next 6 questions is guess the song from the lyrics. I'm going to show you one line of one lyric from a particular song that was a hit in the 1990s. All you got to do is guess the song. I'm sure you're going to get all these right. Some really, really famous tunes in here. So here we go. The first song tonight is... Okay, the best way I think to do these is kind of just sing them along in your head, but every night we're gone, and to karaoke songs, how we like to sing along, although the words are wrong. It's round 6, question 1. So every night we're gone, and to karaoke songs, how we like to sing along, although the words are wrong. Okay, so that's round 6, question 1. I should have had this at question 2. Because she came from Greece, she had a thirst for knowledge. She studied sculpture at St. Martin's College, and if you know me, you know how much I love this band and I love playing this song. But yes, round 6, question 2. She came from Greece, she had a thirst for knowledge. She studied sculpture at St. Martin's College. Okay. I think that one's very, very obvious. But anyway, round 6, question 3. Last time that we had this conversation, I decided we should be friends. Alright. So round 6, question 3. Last time we had this conversation, I decided we should be friends. Alright, round 6, question 4. She'll make you take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. Again, if you don't know it, sing it. Or try to even just kind of give it a lilt to it. Like there's kind of like a rhyming pentameter with all these songs. But yes, round 6, question 4. She'll make you take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. Round 6, question 5. I touch your face while you are sleeping and hold your hand. Don't understand what's going on. Okay. My London crew should know this. You live there, or you live near there. Anyway, so round 6, question 5. Touch your face while you're sleeping and hold your hand. Don't understand what's going on. I'm sure everyone's worked out who the band is. Okay, I'm not looking for the band though, I'm just looking for the song. But yes, the list of songs from each of these different questions, I'm pretty sure you'll work out who the band is. Anyway, so round 6, question 5. Moving on to round 6, question 6. When the day is long and the night is yours alone. Round 6, question 6. When the day is long and the night is yours alone. A band I've seen twice. One of my very, very early concerts, 2003, Marley Park, and I saw them again in the Point Depot in Dublin. Oh, they were brilliant. This band in particular, I'm not going to give it away, but the gig we saw in Dublin in the Point was so good, they ended up releasing it as a live album. So that's, you know, an album's that good if the band release it as a live one. So there you go. That's your round 6 roundup. Just go through those one more time. Every night we're gone and to karaoke songs how we like to sing along, although the words are wrong. Number 2. She came from Greece. She had a thirst for knowledge. She studied sculpture at St. Martin's College. It sounded like William Shatner doing that, and yes, he did cover that. Anyway, so last time we had this conversation, I decided that we should be friends. Number 4. She'll make you take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. Number 5, touch your face while you are sleeping and hold your hand, don't understand what's going on. And number 6, when the day is long and the night is yours alone. It's actually one of the earliest songs I learned how to play to on guitar, funnily enough. But anyway, that's your round 6 roundup. 2 more rounds to go. We've got 2 very special rounds. So we're going to do some quick shout-outs before we move on to the next special round. Lisa in Port Talbot in South Wales is playing with another Mark Hughes. So big hello to you guys. Lucy and Jeremy Sprong from Dartford. That's from Barry Sands. He wants to say hello and let me know that they're playing the quiz tonight. So hello, guys. Scott and Leza and the Lighthouse crew and the Lighthouse crew. And their brother Carl, Kerry and Thomas from Dave Kelly in Cotton, and Nicole and Manny are in Graz in Austria, and Helen Alsop has said that they're locked in and ready to play for the 90s. Okay, so this next round. So we did a TV round earlier, and I know a lot of you were probably looking at each other and thinking to yourself, Mark, you did a TV round and you left out one big show. Okay, I'll admit it, I did. But I saved it for a special Friends round. Oh yes, we're doing a Friends round. I know so many people who've wanted a Friends quiz, and I thought tonight was going to be the perfect idea to squeeze in a Friends round. So yeah, why not? It was the biggest show of the 90s. It ran into the noughties, of course, but yes, the Big Nerd 90s quiz. We're doing a Friends round. So here's your first Friends question of tonight. Round 7. Question 1. Now, if you haven't seen this, try to look it up. It is on YouTube somewhere. But which 2 Friends actors appeared in a promotional video for the launch of Windows 95? So which 2 Friends actors appeared in a promotional video for the launch of Windows 95? And I kid you not, if you see this, it really is the most 90s thing ever. They walk into Bill Gates' office and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Bill Gates' office!" And it's so cheesy. But yeah, do check it out. It is amazing. Round 7 of your Friends round. Question 2. So, which city did Phoebe's boyfriend David the Scientist have to leave to go to? Leave to go. That's the way I phrased that. But round 7, question 2. Which city did Phoebe's boyfriend David the Scientist have to leave to go to? Hank Azaria there, famously playing David the Scientist in the Friends sitcom. He did loads of the voices in The Simpsons, including Moe and Chief Wiggum, and he actually auditioned to be Joey in Friends. He didn't get it, but he was brought back in to play this very significant character for Phoebe. But which city did Phoebe's boyfriend, David the Scientist, have to leave to go to in the series? He does come back, though, in the end, doesn't he? Anyway, round 7, question 3. Who is the very first line in the very first episode of Friends? And they're in the coffee shop. Yep, so there's a couple of them in the coffee shop. I've listed all the major actors in Friends there. But I'm looking for the character who says the very first line in the very first episode of Friends. I'm sure a lot of you Friends maniacs out there will know what this is. Okay, round 7, question Question 4. What does Rachel think Chandler does for a living? And you know what? I genuinely forget. I know it's mentioned a couple of times in the show what he actually does. Or it's kind of like an in-joke that you're not really meant to know what he does, and why does he have all this money, and why do they all have so much money? But anyway, round 7, question 4. What does Rachel think Chandler does for a living? That clip there actually from that episode where they do a quiz. Round 7, question 5. Who sells Joey his Union Jack hat on his trip to London, baby? Famous episode, which was done as a nod to the fans in the UK, because it was such a popular show in the UK, and the producers thought, well, let's write a character in so they can go over to the UK. The guys bump into loads of cool characters and loads of cool actors from the United Kingdom, and yes, Joey and his famous hat there. He leaves Chandler and goes off a little adventure. But yes, who sold Joey his Union Jack hat on his trip to London? And your final quiz one. Friends quiz question for tonight. We might do a full quiz. There were so many questions I could have picked, but yes, here's your last one. We probably will do a total Friends one at some point, but it's just a little teaser for you. Round 7, question 6. Name the actor who plays Ross and Monica's father in the series. Okay, so I'm looking for the name of the actor who plays Ross and Monica's father in the series. He's a very famous actor. He's been in loads of movies like Capricorn 1, Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12. Yeah, very established Hollywood actor. From the 70s and the 80s, but I need the name of the actor who plays Ross and Monica's father in the series. I knew you guys would all enjoy that. So that's round 7. Here's your roundup. Which 2 Friends actors appeared in the promotional video for the launch of Windows 95? Don't forget, actually go and watch that. It's brilliant. 2. Which city did Phoebe's boyfriend David the Scientist have to leave to go to? Number 3. Who is the very first line in the very first episode of Friends? Number 4, what does Rachel think Chandler does for a living? 2, who sells Joey his Union Jack hat on his trip to London? And name the actor who plays Ross and Monica's father in the series. Okay, and that's your Friends special here tonight on the 90s quiz. I knew so many of you guys would have really enjoyed that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next round. And in the 90s, for many of us, were a very, very nostalgic period because we grew up in them. And many of the things that we got for Christmas on our birthdays, who could have done a 90s quiz if we didn't do one about 90s toys? Okay, so in this next round, all you have, I'm going to show you a very, very close-up picture of a particular toy that was really super popular in the 1990s. All you have to do is guess the toy. It's very, very simple. And before we kick off the next toy round, I actually was looking about my room today, and which is basically a small toy museum, and I was trying to look for some of the stuff, some 90s swag that I could show off. First one here, I think my aunt got me this, and she didn't realize that this really isn't for kids, but I think I got this around about 99. Yes, an actual standoff from South Park from 1990s. A bit dusty actually. Stick him over there. Another thing here, check this out. This is an actual copy of Do the Bartman, the single by Bart Simpson that was released in 1991. That's what it says in the back here. And it was actually produced by Michael Jackson, believe it or not. And if I had a cassette, I needed a cassette player. So check this bad boy out. This is my genuine 1992 Talk Boy. And I remember getting this in Hamleys in London as a kid. How awesome is that? The one thing about it is it's absolutely has no functionality like the one in the Home Alone 2. Absolutely none. And yeah, barely. Well, it still works, believe it or not. But yeah, it's genuine Talk Boy, and it has a microphone and everything. Yes, you can slow it down, you can speed it up a bit, but yes, it's not the greatest piece of technology in the world, and I think they actually invented it for the movie. These never existed, and they marketed them afterwards. But yes, so here we go. I'm going to show you 6 pictures of toys from the 90s, super close up. I'll give you a couple of seconds to look at each one, and probably some clues as well. All you have to do is guess the toy. So here's the first one. Round 8, question 1. I really wanted one of these back in 1992. They ran out of them because they didn't make enough of them. And one of the other things is, Blue Peter, they actually had to show you how to make them out of paper mache. And my mum and I actually did make it. And it was really, I remember it being really, really good. And it lasted for ages until it kind of rotted. Because it was, like I said, it was made of paper mache. Round 8, question 1. What's the toy in the picture? Round 8, question 2. I wanted to get ahead of the curve of this, and I remember buying loads of these when I was a kid. And I honestly didn't know how to play them. I didn't see the point of them really, but everyone had them because we were like super obsessed to being. You needed it when you were a kid in the playground. You needed to be ahead of the curve. Everyone had those, Sprite and Coca-Cola yo-yos, but this thing came out and Premier League stickers and everything like that. But like this thing came out, and I remember thinking, right, I want to get ahead of this. And I bought an entire collection of it. I don't know, just didn't see the point of them. I thought they were really weird. Anyway, round 8, question 3. I'm dedicating this one to George. She has one recently and killed it. But anyway, super close up of a very famous toy that came out in about 97, I believe. But yes, it's Japanese words for egg, I think. Egg and baby, something like that. So round 8, question 3. Round 8, question 4. This is the toy everybody wanted to have. Or so they said in one particular movie. And the movie was itself about toys, but which toy? Round 8, question 5. A lot of people thought that this thing was spying on them. And I think we overestimated its intelligence. We thought we could train it to say anything. And the advert made it look as though this thing was hyper intelligent, that they could do things. But no, it wasn't. It was kind of a crummy little toy. And my sister had one. I remember my sister had one. She loved it. Okay, now I know this one is super close up, but I'm sure a lot of you had one. You would have played them out in the garden. Round 8, question 6. What type of toy was this from the 90s? Is it just me, or everything in the 90s was this kind of mad fluorescent yellow and pink? Like it was like the 80s, but even more hyper than that. But yes, round 8, question 6, especially the early 80s, or early 90s. Everything fluorescent yellow, because that was like cool. That and Sunny D. Like I remember like spending whole summers quaffing loads and loads of Sunny D. And now hearing that rumor that some kid had turned orange because he drank too much of it. But yeah, like little do we know how much sugar were in those things. But yes, watching Nickelodeon and drinking Sunny D back in the day, that was an ideal childhood afternoon in 1999. But here we go. We'll do one more look at those. So round 8, question 1. Round 8, question 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. And number 6. Okay, so that's the end of the Big Nerd 90s quiz. Thanks so much for playing. Right now, all you need to do is hit submit. I'm sure so many of you out there have already done that, and then you'll be able to see your scores. Okay, but stick about because I'm going to be writing out the answers straight after this. I'm going to look at my phone here and see if I can do any more shoutouts. I'm sure my phone is exploded with loads of these messages. If I can't read your message, because it takes me a wee while to get in, Derek Hatchell wants an Only Fools and Horses. He wants a Only Fools and Horses quiz at some point. Hayley Pender, she says, I'm really enjoying the quiz. I'm wearing my Back to the Future t-shirt. Yes, the third one came out in 1990, which is correct. Give a shout out to my mate Patty, please. Of course, Hayley, that's no problem. James Austin says, says hi to Zoe, Gavin, Jana, Donna, and James, all playing and all loving the quiz. Thanks so much, guys, for playing. If you're enjoying the quiz, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and share the quiz with all your friends if you think they'd like it. And don't forget, you can play any of the previous quizzes. We did a Game of Thrones quiz there on Monday. It was a massive success, so you can always go back and play the quizzes in the replays. You don't have to play them live. But yes, I do them live because as someone said to me, it's the only time they know it's Wednesday or Saturday when they're doing the quiz. Anyway, Sarah McKnight wants a shout out to Natalie and Lauren, Zoe in the Netherlands, Hannah and family in England. You're going to have to tell me how to pronounce his name. Tonisha? And family in England, and also me and Kimberly in Belfast, all playing the quiz. And one more, Phil Thorne is playing, and he says, great quiz, playing along in Kent. Me and the wife Liz. I want to shout out to the wife, and get Lottie, our dog, and tell her to get out of the way of the laptop screen. That would be great. Anyway, so thanks so much. I'm really sorry if I didn't get a chance to do any shoutouts. The best way to do is get them in before the quiz starts, and I'll definitely make sure I read them out during the quiz. But thank you so much for playing. We're just a couple of quick wee reminders before we read out the answers. The Harry Potter quiz is on the 11th of May. Steph's going to be helping me write that one, and the Star Wars quiz on the 4th of May, or May the 4th, that is. Don't forget, you can buy Big Nerd Pub Quiz merchandise from the 90's.com website. Use the code Big Nerd or Big Quiz for a discount. Okay, so the moment you've all been waiting for, tonight's answers to the Big Nerd 90s quiz. I know there was some curveballs in there, so let's get straight to it and see what you got right and what you got wrong. Here's your answers for round 1. So round 1 is Monday. That was the very first day of the 90s was a Monday. Sheep was the animal that Dolly was. What's up? It was Budweiser. The Channel Tunnel was opened in 1994. Ireland won the Eurovision 4 times in the 1990s. 4 times, almost like back to back. And Friday is when the 1990s end. So, the 1990s started on a Monday and ended on a Friday. Seinfeld was the most watched TV show finale in the 1990s in America. Father Ted started in 1995. Deirdre Rashid went to jail for fraud, but then was released, very, very famously. Sunnydale High School is where Buffy the Vampire Slayer went to. TV3 was the channel in Ireland. Tisha Carr, also known, or previously known as Tina G, came out the year before, or I think in 96. But yes, TV3, now known as Virgin Media. And Pat Sharp, with his big mad mullet, was the host of Funhouse. Round 3, so Morgan Freeman, Michael Douglas, and what's his name? Bill Pullman and Anthony Hopkins all played presidents of the United States of America. Anthony Hopkins played Nixon in 95. Bill Pullman played the president in Independence Day. Michael Douglas played the president in the movie The President of the United States, The President of the USA, I think it was called. And Morgan Freeman played the president in Deep Impact. Silence of the Lambs was the movie that swept the board, and it's one of the very rare movies that has done that. All those other big movies, English Patient and all, did clean up, but Silence of the Lambs won with Jonathan Van Damme and Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster all won the Oscars that night and won the Best Picture as well. So yeah, it cleaned up. The Waterboy was the Adam Sandler movie which had the premiere of the trailer for Star Wars. A lot of people just laughed after the trailer, but I love The Waterboy, it's great. Romeo and Juliet featured the Wannadies, Radiohead and the Cardigans. Men in Black was the first movie that Will Smith had his first #1 with, and Titanic was the biggest grossing movie of all time, and I think in the 90s, and of all time as well. The Soviet Union collapsed on Christmas Day, 1991. Czechoslovakia, of course, split in 1993. The Velvet Divorce, it was known as. It was a peaceful revolution and a peaceful split. Now it's the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Socks was the name of Bill Clinton's cat. D-Ream were the band that had the song Things Can Only Look Better. Or Things Can Only Get Better, and hopefully they will. 1992 was Queen Elizabeth's Annus Horribilis. And Kobe was the city which was struck badly by the earthquake in 1995. Okay, here's a bit of a curveball. Albertville was the first Olympics of the 90s. The Winter Olympics were held the same year as the Barcelona Olympics in 1992, but the Albertville one was held before the summer one. So that was the first Olympics of the 90s. And I didn't specify whether it was winter or summer or not. So yes, Albertville was the first Olympics of the decade. 3 times double winners. That's how many times Manchester United won the double. So yes, thank you, and apologies if that didn't make sense, but United won the double 3 times. Pete Sampras, of course, dominated Wimbledon in the 90s. Michael Jordan signed for the White Sox very briefly in the 90s. The Masters was the first tournament that Tiger Woods won, and Didier Deschamps was the captain, not Zinedine Zidane, of the French winning team of 98. Those are the songs, the lyrics: The Universal by Blur, Common People by Pulp, Say You'll Be There by the Spice Girls, Livin' La Vida Loca by the Ricky Martin, Stay Another Day by East 17, and R.E.M. Everybody Hurts. The Friends quiz questions: Jennifer Aniston and Matthew Perry appeared in the Windows 95 ad. Minsk was the city that David the Scientist went to. Monica has the very, very first line in Friends. Transponster is what Rachel thinks Chandler does. Richard Branson sold Joey his hat in London, outside of the Tower of London, I think it was. And Elliot Gould played Monica and Ross's dad in the series. And finally, I'm going to show you the breakdown of each one. So it was Tracy Island, Pogs, Tamagotchi, Buzz Lightyear, Furby, and Super Soka. So I'll show you those. So that was the close-up there. That was the Thunderbirds Tracy Island, which they did a re-release of Thunderbirds in 91, and it was massive, and everyone wanted the toys. And yes, it was the Tracy Island there. Pogs, yes, they're back in Pog form. Remember Alf? That's George's Tamagotchi. I had to do a big shout-out to George's Tamagotchi. She got this recently, and it lasted a day, I think, or two. She dropped it in some water. But yeah, you do have to look after them. Buzz Lightyear, of course, with his laser action arm. The Furby, which was the big thing to have in 98. Not as clever as we thought. And the Super Soaker was your final answer of the Big Nerd 90s quiz. I hope you all really enjoyed that really nice nostalgic trip back through the 90s. I know I spent the whole day writing that quiz and setting it up and listening to loads of Britpop and getting really super into it. And I have to say, big thanks again to Diane Lemon for suggesting it to me, because I had so much fun writing it. It's one of my favorite periods of history and time, because I lived it, and I think a lot of other people too have the same fond memories of that time as well. But yes, thank you so much for recommending it to me. I had so much fun doing the quiz and writing it. And like I said, if you do want to support me in the quiz, you can support me via Patreon or PayPal. Like I said, I've been doing the quizzes now for the last 5 weeks now. We're up to we've done 16 or 17 quizzes. It's quite a lot of work, and yeah, but I really do enjoy them, and all your support out there really makes it such a big difference to me. I really do appreciate it. I hope you do come back. I hope all you guys out there who have played before have enjoyed it, and do tell your friends all about it. I really do appreciate that. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get in touch with me if you have any feedback or any suggestions for any quizzes coming up. My friend Neil Cochran, I don't want to reveal what it is we're working on just yet, but we've got a quiz penciled in for the 18th of May, okay? So do keep your eyes out for that. I will announce it at the next one, but Neil's been helping me write that out. But if you want to volunteer to write a quiz, Teresa Ray from Banterflex, she was emailing as well, and she said she wants to write me a Disney one. So yes, that might happen at some point. The Star Wars quiz, my buddy Mark's helping me write that. So that's Monday, May the 4th, 2020 at 8 p.m. And the Harry Potter quiz, Monday 11th, my friend Steph is helping me with that. Thank you once again for playing Big Nerd 90s Quiz. We'll see you again on Saturday the 2nd of May. I can't believe we've got all the way through April. Thank you so much for playing again. Absolutely love hearing from you. Massive apologies if I didn't get a chance to do a shout out for you guys tonight. But yes, I really love hearing from you. Do get in touch via Instagram, PayPal, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc. And we'll see you again for the next Big Nerd Pub Quiz, Saturday the 2nd of May. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe.